Usman versus Buckley is in Atlanta this weekend. I'm super excited. This is going to be a banger card, and I'm breaking down my picks, starting with Oumar Sy versus Alonzo Menifield. Guys, I know that Oumar Sy has an undefeated record here, but I really think that Alonzo Menifield is going to take this. Mostly just because Oumar hasn't really been tested at the UFC level yet. He's had a couple of wins, but not really against the top guys. Menifield has lost to the top guys in terms of Azamat Mazakhanov, Carlos Ulberg, but he also has some really notable wins against Dustin Jacoby, who we saw a couple weeks ago is like a really good gatekeeper type level, and he beat Jimmy Crute twice. Once technically because the other one was a draw, but it was only a draw because he lost a point, so I basically count that as a win. You know, I just don't think that Umar's really fought anybody near Manifield's level yet. If he can beat him, I think that shows that he's like a really good light heavyweight prospect, but I think that we're going to see. And I think that Alonzo Menifield has the tools to be able to beat a guy like Oumar Sy. Moving on to Mansour Abdul-Malik versus Cody Brundage. And this one, I'm sort of going the opposite way. I know that, you know, Cody Brundage has more experience, but it's mostly being like a resume booster for up and coming UFC fighters. Think Bo Nickel, these types of guys. Whereas Mansour's undefeated. He's seems like a stronger overall fighter than Oumar Sy. And I think that just, again, the UFC likes to feed Cody Brundage to these up and comers. So I think that Mansour Abdul-Malik is going to stay undefeated by the end of this and get a boost on his resume. Moving on to Cody Garbrandt versus Hani Barcelos. This one is super interesting. I don't know exactly who I'm going to pick yet, and we're going to decide right now. So, Hani Barcelos actually has a better overall record than Cody Garbrandt, which is interesting, but in reality, Cody's fought way higher level, right? Kai Kara France, TJ Dillashaw a couple of times, Davison Figueiredo, and Hani Barcelos has the momentum. He just beat Peyton Talbot, even though he was like a plus 700 dog, or Talbot was a plus 700 favorite, however you want to look at it. But he beat Talbot by taking him down, using his wrestling to sort of maul him the whole time. And, Peyton Talbot, Frank Ocean's boyfriend, he had good stand up, but his ground game hadn't really been tested yet. And I think Hani Barcelos basically just did what a lot of people were trying to do to the Sean O'Malley's and Israel Adesanya's as they came up, and he was more effective. Cody Garbrandt has a different level of wrestling. I know that he got choked out in his last fight against Davison Figueiredo, but Davison Figueiredo is like a jiu-jitsu ace, and he's a much more well-rounded fighter than anybody that Hani Barcelos has ever really fought. Also, something I noticed in that Barcelos versus Peyton Talbot fight is that Barcelos seems a bit chinny. Like when he did get hit by Talbot, it would cause big reactions. Cody Garbrandt, if he hits you, he hits like a fucking truck. I think he's got better technical kickboxing than a guy like Peyton Talbot as well, in my opinion. And either way, I think this is going to be a really fun fight for sure. The thing that makes me really doubt Cody here is that he keeps saying like, "Oh, I'm about to, make my comeback. I'm about to take a run," and then it's just disappointing every time. He just gets beaten by these better guys. But all the guys that he gets beaten by are either champions or are fighting for the belts. Again, the absolute top level of the competition. I just don't think that Hani Barcelos is going to be able to take Cody Garbrandt down and do whatever he wants to him. It's just hard to go with Cody with all of the fucking disappointments that he's had, but I think I see Cody Garbrandt actually finishing Hani Barcelos. Now that I think about it, I don't think that he's going to have the same wrestling flaws that Talbot had, and I think he's just going to be able to piece Hani up standing up. So this is a good fight for Cody Garbrandt to be able to win and get his name back into the mix of things. But, if he beats Hani and they put him up against a higher level guy, I wouldn't back Cody to win that fight. Like if they put him up against like an Umar Nurmagomedov or something like that, even though that would be a banger of a fight, I'd be so interested to see that one. It just seems like Cody Garbrandt crumbles under the lights these days. So anyway, moving on, we have Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petroski. This one, man, Edmund Shabazian was like a real, genuine, up-and-coming prospect at one point. He was like 11-0 at the start of his career, and now he's like 14-5, which means in the last 8 fights, he's only won 3 of them, and he's lost 5 of them. And if you look at his record in the last 5 fights, it goes win, loss, win, loss, win, which sort of means he's due for that loss that's coming up. I don't know what happened to Shabazian. I think some of these guys, it's like they're coming up, they have all this confidence, and then once they start to lose, it just the wheels fall off from there. So the only way that I would think that Edmund Shabazian is going to win this fight is if somehow he's like completely fixed his mindset, which I have no proof to say, right? Also, Andre Petrosky beat Gerald Meerschaert, who beat Shabazian, and I know that's MMA math doesn't always work out like that, but the evidence just shows that Andre Petrosky should win this. He's got more momentum actually coming in as well. He's had some wins. I don't think that Edmund Shabazian has a real shot at being a contender. So Andre Petrosky is going to win this fight by decision. Next up, we have Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. Fuck, man, this is sort of like that Cody Garbrandt fight. I really don't know who to go with here. Miranda Maverick, I mean, they both lost to Erin Blanchfield recently. Miranda Maverick has more momentum and seems like she's, trying to make that title run, but she hasn't really had the same level of competition as Rose yet. Rose Namajunas, in my opinion, is one of the best female fighters in the world when she's on. If you we rewind back to that time when she fought Weili Zhang the first time, and she's walking out going, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. She meant it. She had full conviction in her soul, right? But since then, it seems like she's tried to like recreate that, but it's fake. There's incongruence between her and what she's trying to be. So that doesn't work. I do think that after the bad performances she's had, she probably is going to want to like lock in and clock in, clock in and lock in. But can she make it happen? Can she pull it together? I like the fact that she's fighting on the same card as Usman here. Trevor Whitman's going to be coaching both of them. They probably both have been locked in camp, and that seems good for Rose. But yeah, I'm going to go with Rose Namajunas here. I just think that she has a bit too much experience. I think that she should be motivated to win this. I'd like to see her make a good run at the belt. She has all of the tools. If she can just like actually get in there and do her best work, get into that flow state and try and do damage rather than just having these like boring snooze fest sort of range fights where no one does anything, she should be able to win this. So I'm going to go Rose Namajunas by boring decision, but she'll probably wrestle Miranda, get some good striking, mix it up. And yeah, I'm going to give her the win here. Moving on to the main event, the Battle of the Gorillas. If you don't understand my reference, go back to my 100 Men versus a Gorilla video and see what I'm talking about with regards to these two guys. But, man, look, I got to go with Joaquin Buckley here. Buckley's undefeated at welterweight since he made the move. He's on an absolute tear. He beat Vicente Luque, Wonderboy, Colby Covington, and, to knock Wonderboy out, to be able to close that type of distance, who's doing that? You know what I mean? Like, finishing Colby, I know it was by a cut, but he was putting it on Colby, putting that pressure on him the whole time. Colby wasn't really able to take him down, and usually Colby's the one that's able to put that type of pressure. I know that Joaquin Buckley is not a wrestler, but I see with that same type of forward pressure, the same thing happening that happened in the Kamaru Usman and Colby fights, where it's so hard to wrestle off of your back foot that it can eventually turn into a striking match. And in a striking match, I just think Joaquin Buckley's so much better at distance management, being out of the way and then closing distance and landing bombs. Kamaru Usman also has the ring rust. No momentum. He's lost his last 3 fights. Now, there's ways to tell yourself, be more confident. Like he was winning the first fight with Leon Edwards, or the second fight, however you count it, the one that he got head kick KO'd. I think that if the Hamzat fight had gone 5 rounds, he probably would have won that as well. But at the end of the day, they're losses. That's going to be in your head. Look at Sean O'Malley recently, how he talks about how it was in his head. Look at Israel Adesanya on after, he loses one. It does something to you. When you're the man, when you're beating everybody, it's a different thing. I also just think this is like a passing of the guard fight. You're seeing these guys, Paddy Pimblett, Ilia Topuria, Ian Gary, come up and just like beat these older guys. And I can't see anything different here. I mean, Kamaru Usman's saying that he wants to go in, beat Buckley, go fight the winner of Islam JDM, win back his welterweight belt, go up to middleweight, win against DDP. It's like, are you living in imaginary land? Like, what is going through your mind where you think you're looking so far past Buckley that that's where you're going to? And if you're thinking like that, what it sounds to me like is you just want to replicate what GSP was able to do by like taking the welterweight belt, taking the middleweight belt, and then riding off into the sunset. And that's not a good sign. It shows me that you're ready to retire. I think Joaquin Buckley is still like just at the beginning of his prime in reality. He's a monster right now, man. And there's always been talk about Kamaru Usman's knees and his body sort of failing on him. Joaquin Buckley can be a mean motherfucker when he's in there. I could see him putting some bad leg kicks on Kamaru Usman. He's tricky, he uses a lot of different attacks. It's not like Colby Covington who's just going to come in and sort of just do that forward pressure, hit you with like anything. He's going to pick really strong, powerful shots to hit Kamaru with and punish him when Kamaru misses. Kamaru overextends a lot on his punches. And, that knockout of Jorge Masvidal, for example, the only reason that really happened is because Jorge was so worried about the takedown that he leaves his hands down to get hit. He's trying to get that underhook, right? But Joaquin Buckley's not so afraid of wrestling, and I just don't. If that type of punch misses Joaquin, and then Joaquin hits him back and makes him pay for that miss, oh God, I think this is gonna look bad, man. At the face-off the other day, Kamaru Usman was actually looked considerably bigger than Joaquin Buckley, but big doesn't always mean stronger. When you're young and you've got that fucking just energy and all that testosterone running naturally, your body hasn't gone through so much damage, like the power that Joaquin Buckley has is fucking insane, man. So I see this being bad for Kamaru Usman. I don't know how Kamaru wins this fight other than like a 5 round decision where he presses Joaquin up against the fence, uses his wrestling to take him down, dominates in there. I don't see him out striking Joaquin. So I see there being like a good first round for Usman where you're like, oh, okay, he might be able to, ride out a 5 round decision here. And then we've seen with the Wonderboy fight that Joaquin Buckley can hold that power until late into the fight. He knocked out Wonderboy in the 3rd round. And, I see it either just being like a devastating KO or hitting him really badly and then just beating his head onto the canvas until the referee stops it. So I'm going to go with Joaquin Buckley by KO TKO in either late in round 2 or early round 3. And that's it. UFC Atlanta, Battle of the Gorillas. This is a fun card, guys. Tell me if I'm wrong here. I'm curious on your perspective, by the way, because like the last few cards I was doing so great. I had 3 cards in a row where I only got 1 fight wrong, and then I had 2 that were clean sweeps. I got them all right. And then the last card, UFC 316, the only fight that I got right was Kayla Harrison, which we all knew was going to happen, and I got the rest of them wrong. So tell me what you think. Tell me if you think that I'm missing some stuff here. I'd be interested in your perspective, and I want to know. Maybe I could adjust these last minute, but I don't think so. I think this is right. Just to recap, we're getting Joaquin Buckley's going to win by KO. Rose Namajunas is going to win by decision. Cody Garbrandt's going to win by TKO. Edmund Sharbazian's going to get fucking pieced up in a decision. Mansour Abdul-Malik's going to stay undefeated against Cody Brundage. And Alonzo Menifield is going to win with experience against Oumar Sy. All right, guys. Have a great day. See ya.